Hey everyone, welcome back to Maverick Codebase. Today we are covering one of the most important part of any SwiftUI app. If you have ever struggled with managing multiple screens and keeping navigation structured, this video is for you. We are building a custom and scalable navigation system using NavigationStack. By the end of this video, you will be able to navigate between screens dynamically and manage navigation in clean and efficient way. So let's get started. First of all, we need a way to define our routes. Every screen in our app should be part of a structured system. So let's start by making a protocol that all routes will follow. So let's create a new file called routable. Here we are saying that every route should be both a SwiftUI view and uniquely identifiable with hashable. Next, let's create the routable object protocol. This will define how we handle navigation actions. This protocol gives us a full control over navigation. We can push new routes, go back and resetting the navigation stack entirely if needed. Now let's introduce something called associated type. This means that destination can be any SwiftUI view that follows our routable structure. Next, let's define stack, which will keep the track of our navigation history. Now let's define the core navigation functions that give us full control over moving between screens. Now let's define how each of these functions will work. Whenever we want to go to new screen, this function will add it to our stack. Next, we will allow the user to navigate through multiple screens at once by adding multiple destinations to the stack in single action. Now this function will help us to go back specific number of screens. Now let's add a functionality to go back directly to a specific screen in our navigation history, clearing everything after it. Finally, we define a function to completely clear the navigation stack and return to the root screen. Now that we have defined how routing works, so let's create a new file for our router class. Swift file from a template. Now let's call it router. This will store and update the navigation stack dynamically so our app knows which screen to show. This router will act as a global navigation manager. Since we are using a published, any changes to the stack will immediately reflect in our UI. Next, create a view. Let's call that RoutingView. This will be our navigation manager, which listens to our router and updates the screen accordingly. Let's wrap everything inside a navigation stack, which is a way of managing navigation. Now that our navigation system is set up, it's time to create the actual screen that users will navigate between. Each view will represent a different section of our app, like home, profile settings, and notifications. We will include deeper views for things like editing, profile, changing password, ensuring we can test multi-level navigation. Once we define these screens, we will be able to see our navigation system in action as we move between them. Let's quickly set up our views. Now that we have our views set up, let's make them functional. Now that we have our views and navigation system ready, let's define the routes that will connect everything together by creating a new file called app routes. We will create an enum that lists all the screens in our app. This approach makes our navigation system clean and scalable, allowing us to easily add or modify screens in the future. Next, let's connect everything in the app entry point where we initialize the navigation system and inject it into the environment. Now let's set up content view, which acts as the entry point of our navigation system. Here we use EnvironmentObject to inject our router, ensuring that all screens can access the navigation system. Inside the body, let's wrap our home view inside our routing view and passing our stack. Next, inject the router using EnvironmentObject, ensuring that this view has access to the global navigation system. Next, trigger the desired navigation on button action, like on this button, navigate to profile view, and also set up other buttons. And in profile view, let's make sure we can navigate back. So router.navigate back. Next, let's quickly add navigation in all views in a similar way. And that's it. We have built a clean and scalable navigation system in SwiftUI. If you found this helpful, smash that like button and subscribe for more SwiftUI tutorials.